So one thing about the discussion here in the period of heavy bombardment with this time frame of 4.5 billion years ago, what about the Earth? Was the Earth somehow spared from these collisions, or were we special or protected somehow? Well, the answer is definitely yes. The Earth was definitely hit with stuff from the period of heavy bombardment. Sort of the most obvious evidence of this is the Barringer crater in Arizona, just sitting right there. You can go see it. I think it's part of the national park system now. Here's sort of a modern aerial view of it. It's just a big hole in the ground that obviously something just came in and went really big and just flew things all over the place. You can see a bit of a berm around the crater, and I believe if you look at the aerial shot a little more carefully, you see some little things like this and like this around that. Things obviously flew out and then collided with the outside, but a lot of it's been eroded away now. You can sort of drive up to it on this access road here to the visitor center. And there's the visitor center. Of course, they sort of have it all lined up so you can't see the crater at all unless you go through the visitor center. And of course, the gift shop, which of course sells dinosaur dolls and that sort of thing in there. You know, fun things for the gift shops. Here's sort of what you see from the viewing deck. There's some research going on down in there, and you can sort of see the structure. But this is just long eroded, and sediment has definitely covered all the initial action and stuff. But anyway, there's still sort of evidence that this happened there. Here's someone that might look familiar in there, and who has some nice thick hair from, I don't know, back in 1992 or something like that when I visited it once. But there I am in front of the crater there. A fun day. There's also this Wolf Creek crater in Australia. So there is evidence the Earth was hit, but remember, as we discussed, the Earth has this active geology, meaning we have things like these subduction zones. So we have one plate that looks like this, and maybe there is a crater right here on a plate that's moving under another one. So what will happen, of course, as this plate moves this way, this plate moves this way, it'll get subducted underneath. So there is evidence of a collision in the period of heavy bombardment 4.5 billion years ago, but after time this crater is going to get subducted and just sort of erased and recycled. And we also have things on our planet like rain and wind and erosions and our oceans and all that sort of thing that are also very good at covering up craters. So we don't see them everywhere, but there is evidence it happened, and the Earth was not spared from getting hit in the period of heavy bombardment. So the dinosaurs are pretty tough, and I think I showed this to you in a previous video here, but just sort of the dinosaur calendar. Looks like every day is kill something and eat it, kill something and eat it, kill something and eat it. It looks like they're doing a pretty good job. Ha ha ha. Now the reason why I bring the dinosaurs up is because they're off.
Hey! Start the engine! Must go faster.
Let me move! Look out!
Portrayed in the movies as being really tough and scary as they are, you know, so take a look. But the dinosaurs wouldn't have been any match for something big coming in from outer space like this. They're going to get very frightened. They're going to sort of wonder what's going on, run away from all these things falling in. And here's...
The weeks pass, and above the brilliant volcanic sunsets, there are the telltale warning signs of an even more destructive natural disaster. Showers of shooting stars herald the approach of a giant comet on a collision course with the Earth. "3,000 kilometers to the south, the massive comet crashes into Earth. The light from the impact fades in silence. Then the shock waves arrive. Next comes the blast front. Finally, a rain of molten rock starts to fall out of the darkening sky. This is the end of the age of the dinosaurs. The comet struck the Gulf of Mexico with the force of 10 billion Hiroshima bombs. In the catastrophic climate changes that followed, 65% of life died out. It took millions of years for Earth to recover, and when it did, the giant dinosaurs were gone, never to return.
A little video you can watch now about what it would have been like to have been on the Earth when this thing came in and made the big collision. So take a look at this. And so what we think happened is right here on the Yucatan Peninsula, right where Cancun is, popular vacation spot, they think that right under and partly around the peninsula, so right around here, there's this Chicxulub crater that you can see is partly sort of buried by the land, partly under the ocean, but it's definitely down there. The topography is definitely down there, and they think this is where the meteorite hit that killed off all the dinosaurs. And now the theory is that the collision alone wasn't the 100% cause for getting rid of the dinosaurs. The Earth was undergoing a lot of changes back then with increased volcanoes exploding and the erupting, and the atmosphere was becoming much different. So they were definitely on their way out, but this might have been the nail in the coffin there. So right by the vacation spot, Cancun, on that peninsula, sort of half under the ocean and half under the peninsula itself, is where we think the big impact was that ultimately killed off the dinosaurs.
The collisions are really something to behold, and there's some very well done graphics.
But as we've already seen, not all collisions have beautiful and harmless results. One of them was a major factor in an extraordinary event that changed the course of life on Earth. It began out here, where asteroids orbit the sun. Asteroids are pieces of rock and metal left over from the first few million years of our solar system, when the planets were forming. Most of these asteroids orbit within the belt that you're seeing, located between Mars and Jupiter. Some can even be closer. There's only a 1 in a million chance in any given year that a large asteroid will hit Earth. But 65 million years ago, one did. It was about 7 miles wide, traveling at 40,000 miles an hour, and it was headed straight for Earth. But not the Earth we know today. This was long before humans existed, when the great dinosaurs roamed the planet. Unfortunately for them, that was about to change. The asteroid hit near what is now Mexico. The impact created a fireball that scorched everything in sight. Vaporized earth and rock were blasted into space. As this material rained back down, it heated the atmosphere. Glowing debris slammed into Earth, hitting again and again. Everything that could caught fire. For an hour, temperatures across the globe rose to more than 500 degrees Fahrenheit, literally as hot as an oven. Smoke and soot filled the atmosphere. For 6 months, it would be too dark for most plants to grow. Between massive destruction caused by the collisions and damage done by volcanic eruptions and changing sea levels, nearly 3/4 of all life on Earth went extinct. The age of the dinosaurs was over. But life is resilient, and there were survivors. A few dinosaurs made it through, eventually evolving into our present-day birds. And some mammals survived as well, giving them a chance to evolve. In fact, without this collision, we might not be here today. Could a collision like this happen again?
So take a look at this. And the part that I just sort of like about the video is just that global nature, just seeing all that hot stuff flying, not just in a localized area, but across essentially the whole world would be hit by the rocks and the things that ejected back up and fell back down again. It really was a global event that you just wouldn't want to be here for. So getting hit by something from outer space is just a bad deal. So anyway, I hope that explains a lot of things on the list here. I think all this is pretty much taken care of. We pretty much have that. We pretty much have that. And I think some of these allowances are still coming up. So let's get into those in the next video.